Sometimes when I go hiking in the rainforest of Costa Rica, it makes me think about practice systems. And among practice systems that I adore, wow, look at this. I think that's where they filmed Predator. No, that's in Mexico near Puerto Vallarta. Wouldn't be here. Anyway, when I think about practice systems, dominant seventh chords are really the moments of truth. I gotta put this on, someone's coming. Moments of truth that give you the opportunity to make certain choices that you can't always make on other kinds of chords, because the dominant seventh chords can be treated in different ways, particularly if they're functioning as a 5-chord to something, major, minor, or even dominant. You know, for instance, on rhythm changes, well, if you think about the standard chord progression of the bridge, well, let's call it in the B flat key, tenor key, that's the key I play in, you know, E7 for 2 bars, and then you're to A7. So E is 5 of A, but you're going from, in a 5-1 context, to another dominant. If you're going 5 to a minor, same thing. If you're going 5 to a major, same thing. If dominant seventh chords are 5 chords, you can really go hog wild. The world is your oyster. So when we start altering dominant seventh chords, we get all these tensions. The idea is that the 3rd and the 7th of any dominant seventh chord, that's what gives it its power in terms of leading you somewhere via a 5th, via a perfect 5th. G7, you have an F and a B. Those are the notes that beg you to head to a C of any type. Oh, we can go into that later. So you got a 5. Once I have if it's a G7, if I have B and F, well, the rest of it's up to me. You know, I could play a whole tone scale, fine. I could play Mixolydian. Well, it's pretty boring. I can use bebop scale, cool. I can use different modes. I don't recommend that. I recommend using modes when you understand how harmony works. So I don't like to tell students play diminished whole tone. I mean, what does that even mean? I like to think about the chord and the nomenclature that would accompany the chord, because that's your little prescription. It's your directions on taking Zyrtec, you know. It tells you what to do. But taking Zyrtec was your choice. You could have taken Claritin, whatever. The point is, you got a dominant seventh chord. You choose to use Claritin. Now, so Claritin is the equivalent of dominant seventh, sharp 9, sharp 5. I like to think of the 13th. The 13th. G, B, D, F, A, C sharp, E. Now the E all the way up there, the last note in the extensions, if it's a natural E, the most likely thing, if you're altering it, would be that you'll have a diminished sound. And if you have an E flat, now you've got sharp 9, sharp 5, or diminished whole tone, if you want to call it that. You can do other things as well. It could even be a G7 sus, but that's the point. You know, I've got these educational materials that describe how to utilize the diminished scale for the dominant seventh, and also, you know, it's really tritone substitution if you're talking diminished whole tone, more or less. But we can get into that. I encourage you all to explore some of my ebooks at ericalexanderjazz.com. And then if you like that material, I encourage you to consider taking a lesson, because we'll go over it in detail.